Record. Hi, everybody. My name is Cheryl Russell. I'm the Community Development Manager for Canadian Blood Services. And I just want to thank you all for spending the hour with me tonight to learn a little bit more about blood donations, platelet donations, plasma, stem cell, all blood products that are so important to Canadian patients across our nation, and specifically for what means the most to everyone here tonight, and that's children with cancer. So I want to just start by introducing a little bit why I, speaking why I joined Canadian Blood Services. I'd always been interested in the organization simply because it is a organization that gives directly back to people each and every day, patients in need. And I have a father who almost 20 years ago was diagnosed with leukemia. And obviously a bit of a rocky road here and there, but the reality is he is with me today, enjoying his grandchildren each and every day and getting to enjoy his life because and only because of blood product donations by donors. So he has blood transfusions that he administers himself every week. And that is like a platelet-based donation. And that, again, would not be, he would not be here and would not be sustaining his life while on chemo if it wasn't for those donors that donate those platelets every single month. Also, my son is a Sick Kids kid. His name is Justin, and we named him Just in Time, Justin, because unfortunately, a few times we got him to Sick Kids just in time. And I smile and I laugh about this only because that's how you get through some of the things that we go through each and every day. And I'm very lucky that he is doing fantastic now, but he has a very low immune. And so what happens is he catches everything under the sun. He has had osteomyelitis 3 times. And what that is a bone infection. And what it is the germs and the bugs that we can fight off each and every day. Because as I explained to him, we have 100 Army people in a good body, but he has equivalent to 20 Army people, Army men and women. And so unfortunately, those germs have gone in and done some severe damage to his bones, and he's spent time at Sick Kids. So it is very close to my heart because if it wasn't for the immune IVIG, which comes from plasma donations, he wouldn't have had such success in being where he is today. He's a AAA hockey player and enjoying high school, heading into high school. So I wanted to share that with you because I wanted to make sure you understood and can understand why I'm with CBS, why I'm so passionate in what I do, and why I want to spend this time showing you the importance of donating. It's very close to my heart. And obviously, I don't know each and every one of your stories, but I can just imagine that almost every one of you, if not all, have been touched by donors that have given and that have helped with the processes and the treatments that your family and your children have undergone. So that's a little bit about me. So I've just been with CBS for just over 7 months. So I've loved every single minute of it. And I enjoy everything I do with CBS. So I'm going to start today just talking about why donors matter. Now, obviously, we just said why it matters, why donors matter, but approximately every day, every minute of every day, someone in Canada needs blood. And 52% of Canadians say they or a family member have needed blood. And so that's a big, significant number. And that's why it's extremely important that we understand that in the case of an emergency, car accident victims can need and require up to 50 units, which is 50 donors. Surgeries, a liver transplant, 20 up to 100 units, and ongoing treatment cancer, 5 to 8 units per week. So that is a significant amount of donations that is required to sustain someone, a child, a father like mine, on continual cancer treatment. So very important. Some facts. A lot of you might know some of these facts, but I still find it fascinating when I read them and I think about them. An average human body contains about 5 liters of blood, or 10.5 pints. And so 1 unit of blood is equivalent to approximately 450 milliliters. Your body replenishes this volume, which is plasma-based, within 24 hours. Your red blood cells take a bit longer to replenish. And so we space out the donations. And so you may have heard why, we can only donate so often. And sometimes people feel frustrated with this, because when there is an immediate need, with your own family member, a friend, or we're at CBS calling everyone to action, there's a lot of want to just come in and keep donating continuously. But unfortunately, because of us wanting to care for you, the donor, as well, when the red blood cells take a bit longer to replenish, we want to make sure that you're healthy and that you feel good when you're donating. And so males donate every 56 days, approximately 2 months, and females can donate every 84 days, 3 months. So obviously, the reason for us women and females to donate every 3 months is that we have higher iron deficiencies and issues because of our reproductive systems. So that is why, as a female, we cannot donate as often. So we have not figured out how to create human blood, to create a factory-based human blood. And so for that reason, we have to have donors all the time. The platelets in the blood that is donated have such a short shelf life. And so often when I have donated, I like to think, and I do know, that if I donate today, I'm saving someone's life or affecting their care in a significant way within 5 days generally. All the donations that are collected go to the local hospitals immediately. And so there is no shelf life. It's like we can't stockpile it. Like I like to say, we can't put it away for a rainy day. And that's why there is such a constant need for blood donations. And the other thing is our aging population is also an issue, because our donor base that has been supporting Canadian patients for years, of course, age and get to the point in their life that they're unable to donate any longer due to health, due to medications, and simply aging out. And so we need the new donors, we need the young donors to take on this role and to embrace it. And how we meet the demand with the supply is we shout it out and we say, we need new donors. And that's why I go visit the high schools. That's why we try to, engage and empower the youngest generation we can that's coming up. And of course, you have to be 17 to donate, but we can still talk to children that are even younger than that to encourage them to donate as soon as possible. So I found some interesting things that I just pulled together, and I found it quite interesting myself because I didn't know some of these facts. And so on average, I wanted to talk about like children, the connection between children dealing with cancer and blood donation specifically. And so on average, it takes up to 5 blood donors to help one child undergoing cancer treatment. So and it can take up to 8 donors a week to help a child with leukemia. So that's a significant, if you do the numbers and if you just take a moment to think about how many donors that would require in a year, and how many children are out there facing the leukemia and the cancer diagnosis. You know, there's a significant amount of donors that are needed just for the children in Ontario and in Canada alone to support their treatments. And so according to the Childhood Cancer, oh, sorry, that must be a typo, but it should say of Canada, 6 children, Canadian children are diagnosed with cancer every day. So when I read that, it was quite, well, it was just very humbling to realize just how many donors we need just for children with cancer. And we're not even talking about anybody else dealing with cancer. We're not talking about accident victims. We're not talking about transplants or heart surgeries or hip surgeries, and the list goes on. So the other thing I found really interesting is that a normal platelet count is 150,000. And that count is taken by blood, and the doctors usually will talk about that in any type of treatments that are existing. And so a normal platelet count for a person or child having chemotherapy and radiation is 20,000 to 50,000. So you can see where the platelets completely start to deplete. And so when it becomes extremely low, a platelet transfusion may be needed. And that is where I mentioned with my son, the whole IVIG. A lot of times when children are undergoing chemo treatments, as well as adults that are going through leukemia or cancer, they also have to deal with their immune system at the same time. And I'm sure a lot of you have dealt with this or been spoke to about this, that, as a child is fighting their cancer or their leukemia, they also are fighting against their immune dropping. And as soon as their immune drops, then other things can start happening to them. So in this situation, platelet transfusions would reduce the risk of bleeding until the bone marrow starts making new platelets. And in the case of plasma, that is where the immune is taken into effect. And that's where those transfusions are so important to build up the platelets and the plasma that are part of the blood. So after chemotherapy or radiation therapy, a bone marrow does not make new red blood cells as fast. So with fewer red blood cells, anemia or low hemoglobin results. A normal hemoglobin value for a child is 12 to 14, but when they're undergoing chemotherapy, it can be as low as 8 to 10. So there may be discussions to do a packed red blood cell transfusion. This increases the red blood cell count until the bone marrow is able to make new red blood cells. Usually a transfusion is given when the hemoglobin is 7 to 8 or lower. I didn't even know that. Through a lot of my reading and all my training, I was unaware of this packed red blood cell transfusion as a possibility to boost children when they're dealing with this. A normal white blood count. So again, these are all just aspects of your blood. The white blood count is usually between 4 and 10,000. But when chemotherapy and radiation takes place, you can go as low as 3 to 4. So this is what I'm talking about, this whole fighting infection. And it's so important to find a way for that white blood count to multiply. And so you can talk to your doctor and discuss the ANC, and that's the count of the white blood count. It's something you can discuss ahead of time. It's something that you can prepare for. And it's just important so that they have a really good chance of fighting infection. If the ANC is less than 500, the child will have much less ability to fight infection. So it's good to know that count. And it's something that your doctor can help with you to help find out at any point. So again, I found that very interesting when I was reading up on stuff. So the overall donor experience and the eligibility is very broad. I'm sure that it has crossed your mind. Well, can I donate? You know, what are the age to donate? What if I'm on medications? I just had my ears pierced a few months back. I'm thinking of getting a tattoo. So these things are, you know, very in-depth questions. If it's very basic questions, you can go on to blood.ca, and you can do this tonight if you're, you know, if you're wondering if you can be a donor, or if you haven't donated a long time and you have questions. We have what's called the ABCs of eligibility for donating. And you can go in there and, you know, look at all the different things, different types of medications, and how many months you have to wait. So for instance, with tattoos and body piercings, you have to wait 3 months. If you've had cancer yourself, a lot of people will make the assumption that they can never give blood. That is absolutely incorrect, but there is a time period. And also with that comes medications that if you're on medications long-term and for life, those medications could be the reason you can't donate. It's not that you have had cancer and are a survivor and in remission. It's more the medications may be affecting you and are creating a situation where you can't donate. So please visit blood.ca. Lots of answers in there. But I always say to people too, you know, when it comes to medications or really personal questions, we have a phenomenal group of nurses that will answer your questions. And all you have to do is call 1-888-2DONATE anytime. And they'll put you right through to a nurse, and that nurse will take the time to go over your personal situation where it's very private. And you can ask those questions and find out if you can donate. Very important that you feel good on the day of donation. It's very, very important. And this I learned myself when I was in university. I thought, oh, I'm going to donate, you know, and I didn't think about all the criteria or things that would make myself feel better, because I really had no knowledge of that. And back then, I don't remember it being discussed as much. And so I would go in with no food on my stomach. I hadn't drank enough water. I was up studying the night before till hours of the night. So I'm exhausted. And I wondered why I always felt kind of yucky, you know, giving blood. And it was not a great feeling. And you've probably heard people say, oh, I felt a little woozy, or I don't feel so great. It all comes down to how you treat your body before, during, and after. So it is absolutely crucial that if you're going to donate, you eat a lot of good, healthy food that day. If you're donating in the morning, you have to have a very good, large breakfast to sustain your body and to give it its nourishment. I suggest you donate later in the day for your first time, because you're able to eat a lot and you can get a lot of water in your system. That's the other crucial thing, is to drink lots of water during the day, drink while you're giving your blood, and drink lots of fluids after, and have a nice salty snack and some treats after, which our donation clinics have right there. So we give free snacks. So that's always a good thing. So there's a couple of ways, as I mentioned, that you can plan to donate, and that is you can go on blood.ca, you can go in there, book now, it'll go through your eligibility, you can find out all sorts of different things. If you've never donated before, you'll register, and if you have donated before, then your information is going to come up on the screen. And if you have one of those old cards and you've donated in the past and you carry around the card in your wallet and has that little barcode on it, you can enter that number when you go into blood.ca, and then everything will be all in there from your past donations. I also recommend the Give Blood app, because we're all technology based now, and I love the Give Blood app. You can download that right on your phone. And when you go in there and you're donating, it'll even track your hemoglobin levels. It'll show your iron. It'll show when your next appointment, like when you're eligible to donate next. It really kind of just takes care of the questions and the wondering. It'll remind you of your next donation. So it's a great friend to have on your phone, and I highly recommend it. So as I mentioned, before we donate, we want to just have a good night's sleep, salty snacks. You have to bring valid ID, and it has to be the physical ID when you first set up becoming as a donor. And generally each time, we highly recommend that every single time you come in, you have your proper ID on you, physical ID, just in case for any reason some of the more technology-based systems are down, we can still take your donation. Understanding your blood type. This is also something that a lot of people have a lot of questions about. And sometimes people think, well, I don't know what my blood type is, so how can I give blood? I get that question all the time, or that comment all the time. And we don't need to know what your blood type is ahead of time, because the reality is once you donate your blood, especially if you have your Give Blood app on and involved in your donation, your first donation, immediately you're going to know your blood type, which is really, really important. As you know, when you are rushed to the hospital, when there's an emergency, there's not a lot of time to take that moment to find out someone's blood type. So the universal blood type, which we call O negative, only 7% of Canadians have this blood type. And that is the blood type that is used in hospitals when we don't know someone's blood type. It's also used for preemies and young babies when they are delivered in dire situations, in very unpleasant situations. There's not enough time to save the mom and to save the baby. And so we have to have O negative. So what is wonderful for all of you listening, and for those that might tune in later for the recording, if you don't know your blood type, donating the first time is not only important, but it also allows you to find out that maybe you are O negative. And if you are, then you are that small percentage of Canadians that can literally save a life at all times, whereas I'm B negative. So I'm only 1.4% of Canadians and that share this type. So I can't be that amazing, universal donor. I donate blood, and it's important to give that blood for others that have the B negative, but the O negative is really important. So I highly recommend that you go out, you donate, you find out what your blood type is, and you discover just more about what your impact could be on Canadian patients. So just some fun stats there. As I said, B negative, I'm 1.4%. O positive is a huge part of the population, and so is A positive. So it's just a lot of interesting facts there. Later on in the recording, you can read a little bit more about each blood type. You can go on blood.ca as well and look up this information at any time. So the donation process, I don't know how many on this meeting tonight have already donated. So I'll be kind of quick in case all of you have donated in the past. But for new donors, it's just nice to, kind of walk you through the process of what's going to happen when you donate. So the clinic staff in Barrie, I just have to shout out to these wonderful, wonderful team members of mine at 231 Bayview Drive. That's where our permanent Barrie Donation Center is. And they're just a phenomenal group of people. They will greet you and make you feel so welcome and so relaxed. And so at the time, you're going to use your donor ID to generate a barcode. They're going to create that for you, and that will become your donor number and barcode for the rest of your life going forward. So that's the first thing that they're going to do. It's going to be like a little bit of a questionnaire. Right now, we do still ask some COVID questions, understandably. You'll complete the questionnaire, and then you'll get your ID number. So that's kind of the first thing that we do. And then a wonderful trained staff member will take you aside and have a private conversation in a private room. So this is where you can be honest about any of the things that are going on in your life that you're concerned about that could affect your donation. It's completely private and confidential, and they'll do a little finger prick to make sure your hemoglobin is good. They'll take your temperature to make sure you are not fighting an infection, and they'll test your blood pressure. And just a little funny side story, I just had a big group of high school students come in about a month back. And this young kid, Mason, just turned 17, so eager to donate. He wanted to donate so badly. He wanted to, start young and continue on through his life. He goes into the private room. He has the finger prick. It goes fine. His hemoglobin's great. He does his blood pressure. He's doing great. And then she takes his temperature and he has a temperature. And the funny part of this story is he is such a wonderful young man. He comes out and he kind of does a little bit of a, kind of a strut and says, "Oh, I can't donate today because I'm hot," and it was just a funny thing. And the whole donors in the clinic they just laughed, and he just took it so well. And he said, "Oh, well, I wouldn't want to hand off an infection or a germ that I'm fighting. And so it's not meant to be today, but I'm going to donate again." And he put stickers all over himself. We have stickers that say future donor to be. So he put them all over, and he engaged in his teammates and helped them through the process. And it was just a wonderful experience. So I just thought I'd share that with you, that there are things that might stop you and have you defer the day that you try to donate, but don't let it stop you. Keep coming back because we need you. So the next step is you literally sit back and you have a great team member that, usually chat your ear off like I'm doing to you all now, and you just enjoy the process. It is very, very pain-free, very simple, very quick. Sometimes if you've drank enough water in the day, like I've suggested, and you're feeling great and you've had a good night's sleep, it can be literally 5 to 10 minutes. That's how quick your donation can happen after you've gone through the questionnaire and the meeting with the nurse. So it can be very quick and, again, very painless. And once you've done it, you're going to ask yourself, why have I not done this before? And why would I not do it again? So that is the biggest moment that you'll find when you donate blood for the first time. And of course, I don't have to say this because I know you know this, but of course we use sterile needles. We only use one per donor. Everything is so clean and sterile, and we look after you, because without donors, we can't get the donation. So we're not going to risk your health and your mental health either by having a bad experience. So we're going to do everything we can to make it a fantastic experience. So we like to ask that you sit and hang out for a little bit after. Once you've been a regular donor and you've been doing this for a long time, often those donors don't sit and chat. But we really encourage, when you're just starting out, to sit down, take a moment, let your body have a moment. And we, as I said, we have free snacks, and sometimes we bring in pizza on some days, and we have, some fun things, Jay's Sticky Buns and Berry, and what's the other company? Oh, donuts. I don't know if you've ever tried them, but we bring them in and just have some fun and engage in local community businesses as well. So nice cold drink, lots of water, and you're good to go. So excuse me. So that is the blood donation process. And again, I've touched on the platelets and the plasma, but please remember that Barry is only able to do whole blood donations. The closest to donate plasma, which is again for the immune side of cancer treatments, would be, I believe, Sudbury would be the closest, but I donate in Brampton. So we are trying to open up more locations for plasma. I'm sure you've heard through a lot of media that we are trying to open up more centers. It is a very, very important part of blood products that we need to have more donors get involved in. And then platelets, only certain locations will do the platelet extraction from the blood. So for everyone on this call, for the Barrie area, the most important thing you can do is go to 231 Bayview and donate your whole blood. And then lastly is the stem cell registry. Now, the stem cell registry, I'm going to touch on a little bit because it's so important. Again, when we're talking about leukemia, children with leukemia, my father, he has yet to need stem cell transplants, but we know that that is something that could end up being necessary down the road. And I wish that I had known that there was a window for stem cell registry. You need to be between 17 and 35, and preferably of the male gender. And the reason we look at males as a perfect donor of stem cell registry is because males replenish their stem cells far quicker and produce a much stronger stem cell base than women do. And again, it's because of our reproductive systems. So I wish I'd known that I was to register when between 17 and 35. But of course, during that time in my life, I didn't even think about that stuff. My father hadn't been diagnosed. It was not in the forefront of my mind. I was busy in university and doing all that stuff. And so that's why it's so important that we spread the word and we talk to the younger generation. You talk to your other children that might be in this age group. You talk to your nieces and nephews, the neighbors down the street that are in that age group, because in that age group, we're generally in university and starting our life, and we don't stop to think about the impact. And if I had known, and if I could turn back time, I would have registered, because I could very well be a perfect match for my father. But unfortunately, I don't have the ability to turn back time. So the other thing that's very, very important about stem cell registration is that it's difficult finding a matching donor because of the ethnicity of the stem cells. So patients are more likely to find a match with a donor who shares the same background. So my father has Indigenous in him, as well as Irish, so a nice little mix. And unfortunately, because of that Indigenous portion, which is almost 50%, he will need to have someone register for the stem cell registry that has Indigenous in their background, their DNA background, in order to be a match for him. And that's why I say, I wish I could turn back time. So it's really important that we stress to all the communities out there that in order to be that match for your family member, for the person in your community living next door to you that are of the same ethnic background, we need to register, and we need to have that sitting there for that rainy day so that that particular person in need will have that match. So again, I stress that even if you are out of that age bracket, or you're not able to donate yourself your stem cells or register for a potential donation, please talk to all the youth that are around you, because we just often don't realize what we could be doing. So we encourage everyone between the ages of 17 and 35. And if you're a match today, next month, next year, you will have the ability to consider saving someone's life. If you do not register, or your neighbor doesn't register, or your niece or your nephew doesn't register, then that opportunity to save that life will never present itself. And that's pretty powerful when you think about that. If you donate, it's as simple as giving blood. So please, I grew up watching movies where stem cell transplants and donations they looked terribly painful because they were done through the spinal cord and through the bone marrow. We're past that. So there is no invasive procedures nowadays. It is as simple as giving blood. They do a simple little needle just as we would give blood, and that's how you donate your stem cells. So it is just so important. Right now, currently, especially because this is virtual, I have no way of getting kits to you directly. So the best way to get a kit for you or someone that you know is to go onto blood.ca and simply register. And the stem cell registration team will send out a kit, okay? And the kit is really easy. Oh, I went past it too far. I apologize. I'll just, I'll wait for a moment. I'll just discuss it. It's as simple as, and you can, again, in the recording, go back to that screen and see the different steps, but it's extremely simple. You open up the package you get in the mail. It's going to have swabs in it that look like just giant Q-tips. And you simply swab the inside of your mouth. You read the instructions by putting certain barcodes on those swabs, and you fill out the questionnaire about your information. You seal it and you send it back. It comes with a paid postage envelope. So there's no cost to you whatsoever. And you simply put it back in the mail and it goes off to our main stem cell hub. And from there, they read the information, they check your swabs, and then you are notified that you're part of the registry. And hopefully you never get called, because that means there's not a need for you. But if you did get called, you would have that opportunity to save someone's life. And again, what a powerful thing. Lastly, folks, and I'm sorry for my lovely voice. I've been battling a little bit of a cough in the last few months, so I'm surprised I haven't had to cough yet, but my voice isn't the best. But I wanted to share with you Rachel. So again, on blood.ca, if you go under stories, please go in and look at all the stories, because the best thing about the stories is that when a child goes through childhood cancer or leukemia, we want to know the impact of those blood donations and what it means to that person. And so you can go in and read about Rachel. She dealt with childhood cancer and she received many transfusions during treatment for ALL. And Rachel is now in her early 20s, and she took the time to do a story and talk to blood.ca and be part of discussing the importance of donating. She knows firsthand the vital role that blood donors play in supporting life-saving care. She was 5 years old when she was diagnosed with ALL, a type of blood cancer. So that's, my father has CLL. She was pulled out of kindergarten and immediately began receiving countless blood transfusions as part of her treatment. And so today, now she is this thriving 20-year-old. And I have there 3 things that I want to end with. And the one is MATD, and that stands for Making All the Difference. And what Canadian Blood Services have started to really discuss and talk about over this past few months and into 2023 and onward is the importance that the donor and the donation makes all the difference. So it doesn't just affect the patient that requires the blood while fighting cancer. It affects the parent of that child, the family members of that child, the school teacher that misses that child when that child is not at school. It affects the community, because the community often rallies together to support these children. And then as that child recovers and as that child goes into remission because of these life-saving blood products, that child goes on to going back to school, to engaging in sports, AAA hockey, chasing their dream, becoming a pianist, a gymnast, going on to starting their first job. And that all entails the community. And eventually that person, just like Rochelle, I call her Rachel. I think it's pronounced both ways. I do apologize. But Rachel, now she is thriving in her early 20s. She's in school and she's going to become an important part of someone's community. She's going to be that doctor, that that customer service agent every time you walk into a local store. She's going to be that person that contributes to the community, possibly a teacher. So we want to stress here at CBS, at Canadian Blood Services, the importance of making all the difference, and that realizing that that one donation that you make tomorrow doesn't just affect that patient. It's a ripple effect beyond belief. Recently, we had a donor that came in and celebrated his 150th donation. His name was Bob. And I was able to be there when the media came to talk with him. And it really comes down to the fact that he was in his early 20s, and a coworker, got up from her desk and said, "Oh, I'm leaving early. I'm going to go donate blood." And he looks at her and says, "You're donating blood?" And she said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, if you can do that, I can do that." And he simply started just for that. He has never been impacted, wonderfully, and so thankfully, he has not been impacted by all the things that could have impacted him for the need for blood. He simply did it because he can. And he celebrated his 150th donation. And it was just amazing to see the ripple effect of just one man who continuously gives back and saves people's lives. And it touched me, and it was an incredible experience for me. And we have so many repeat donors and donors that are coming in and reaching some wonderful milestones. So it's a wonderful thing. So before I talk about blood drives, which is how I'm going to end our conversation before we have some questions, the other thing I wanted to mention is Give 3 in 2023. This is our latest campaign, and I just want to mention that so that it's something that you've heard and you recognize. What we're asking for everybody out there, organizations, local community members, everyday citizens in Barrie, we want you to think about, how can I contribute to Canadian Blood Services in 3 different ways in 2023? So can I donate blood? Can I financially offer a donation to CBS to help with donor collections? Can I take a drive to Sudbury or Brampton and do a one-time plasma donation? Can I get on social media and talk about my story and what I'm going through with my child, with my family, and impact others to want to donate? So there's so many different ways that we can contribute to such an amazing cause. And so I wanted to just mention that that is something that we are just starting. And if you want any more information about that, I can also send a little bit of additional materials that can be shared after this discussion. So lastly is the blood drive. And I want to talk to you about this before we go to question period, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up your organization here as a partner of Canadian Blood Services. I'm going to do that this evening. And what I will be able to do by doing that is set a little bit of a mutual goal that all of you can rally together to achieve. So I'm going to just set it as 20 donations for the next year. Very minimal, and yet that can be changed at any time. But by doing that, I can actually have it set up in blood.ca and have a QR code that I'm going to send out that you can be dispersed to all of you through email, on social media. And it'll make the process so simple that, one, if you've already donated, you simply take your camera and you point the camera onto the QR code, and it'll take you right to the team of your organization, and you can join. And you can all rally together and book appointments, and you can achieve that 20 donations very quickly and very effectively. If you've not donated before, don't worry. When you click on the QR code, it'll simply take you to the registration part of the process. You'll register as a new donor, and then from there, you will be able to join the team and book a time. So blood drive would be amazing to do. And what we can do is I can actually set aside appointments under your organization's name on a specific day. If during communications that follow this, if there's a certain day that you'd like to rally everyone together, we can actually set appointments for a specific day, and you can adopt a day at the Berry Clinic. So I want to make it extremely easy for everyone here and everyone that joins in on the recorded session later on to be able to join together as a team, book as a group, and donate and contribute to Canadian Blood Services. So I will be sending that soon and in a further email, and attach some further materials that will help all of you to engage together. So thank you everyone for listening, and I hope I didn't bore anybody. I wanted to bring a lot of little stories and a lot of facts in, and hopefully this has helped everyone feel the need to donate. And if there's any questions, I'd love to help.
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for an excellent presentation. It was very interesting. I liked how you explained the process, you know, from beginning to end, how it is for, especially for people who've never donated, how it works. And I found interesting too the blood types information. That's always really interesting to me. My daughter is also B negative.
Ah, we're rare. Yes,
yeah,
we're
rare.
We are very rare.
Very rare. So yeah, it was really interesting. And I want to ask everybody here, or anybody, if you have any questions, you can type it in the chat, or you could just turn on your camera or your microphone and ask Cheryl any questions you might have, or share any stories of how your child has been impacted by blood donations, or any questions. Fatima, but turn on your microphone, Fatima.
Oh, yes, thank you. So thank you so much for both of you for organizing this. This is something that I've been thinking of, and when I saw the email today, I was like really happy that, you know, this is the help that I was looking for. So I lost my son to osteosarcoma 2 years ago. So sick kids is, you know, I get it, right? So I was just thinking of putting together a blood drive, like, you know, with my community or friends. Do people do that? Like,
yes,
do people organize blood drives on their own?
Yep, absolutely. So what you could do is you can do it in honor of your son.
Okay.
And you can name it. So I can have a follow-up email directly with you. You can provide the name that you would like to set up for his name in honor. And then we can create that QR code that's specifically for you and in honor of your son. And everyone, your family and friends, can join in. And it can be something you do maybe on his birthday, a special occasion. And I just want to say, I am so very sorry for your loss.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. This is what helps. This is what helps. And, you know, like when I do it, I would also want to, like, you know, bring awareness to OPAC too, because OPAC is what helps families get through everything, right?
Yep.
So like, is that something that I can, you know, I don't know if OPAC is interested in that, or, you know, what they think, but, you know, there's a little sign, just an awareness, like
absolutely.
Education, right?
Yep. Well, OPAC could donate the day, so we can honor OPAC for the for supporting Canadian Blood Services and for wanting to engage others. So we can have signage and thank OPAC in that manner. But then within that adopted day, you can have your group under your son's name and honor. And so we can make it a wonderful event and a very special time. And I would be honored to be involved and make it all that it can be for you.
Thanks. And I'm in Brampton, actually. So all my, like,
oh,
everybody, it would be in Brampton.
Oh, that's fine. So what I would do is I would connect you with, it would probably be Bev and Simran at the Heartland. I think that would be where it would, I have to double check exactly where you live and reside and what would be the easiest location, but I can set that all up and then hand you off to some wonderful fellow community development managers that will help. That's wonderful.
Because I was reading on the website and it said that, you know, to organize a blood drive, I would have to arrange a spot. Is that correct? That I would have to arrange a spot?
Well, you simply would have to decide which location is best, location is best. And depending on where you all reside, they might be able to help out to get the life bus to pick you up, send taxis. I mean, we'll do whatever it takes to make everyone able to come in and donate together as a group. It's really important because you bond that way, and it's just a special special time for you and your family, and I know they'll look after you, and maybe I'll be able to even come down and join.
So nice.
So
Is there a minimum amount of people that need to turn out? Because I thought, oh my God, so if I can't get enough people, like,
no. So what we would do is you would kind of look and think, okay, maybe this person, maybe that person, and you say, I think I might be able to get 8. So then what we would do is we set aside 8 appointments on that specific day that you've chosen. And then we send you out the materials, the QR code poster, everything to make it really easy on your family and friends and colleagues to join you. And we just kind of monitor it over a few days, a few weeks. And as we get closer, say there's only 6 out of 8, then maybe a couple of days before we release those other 2 spots back to the public. There's no pressure whatsoever. The most important thing is every donation counts, every single one. So we will do whatever it takes to help you bring in your group. And no matter how many people come, we will be forever thankful.
Okay, no, perfect. Okay, I was thinking a way larger number, but that's good.
Yeah, no, the larger the better. So perfect example, over this next month, we call it the Days of Giving or the Season of Giving. And what we as CDMs, Community Development Managers, are doing are trying to engage local organizations or family members of in honor situations to come together and bring in groups on each day. So I have some groups that are 3, and I have another group that's 13. And then I have another group that's, 11. So it all depends on what you can pull together. But again, don't put that kind of pressure on yourself. Just, engage the best you can. I'll help. And so will the other fellow CDMs to provide materials that'll make it easier for your friends and family to join. And I promise you it'll all come together in the end.
Oh, thanks. This is like an answer to my prayers. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad I can help. I'm glad I could help.
Thanks.
Fatima, I'll connect you and Cheryl, because I have Cheryl's email. I have your email. So I'll connect you so you can help Fatima Cheryl arrange this. And I'll be happy if you need anything from OPAC. And thank you, Fatima.
No, thank you. And I'm glad that you said about the aging population, because I was just telling my husband, like, we're all old now with medication. Like, we need to reach out to the younger crowd. So that's like really
100%. Yeah. And so, high schools and high school students, like, I'm really trying to engage as much as I can. And again, with the stem cell registration, I had no idea that it's capped at 35. I missed the boat. I missed the chance, right? And I would give anything to go back. So if we can have that conversation, maybe we can stop all those other people like myself from missing that opportunity. If you simply have the conversation, then someone who's 30 can catch themselves and do something that they'll forever be thankful they did. So.
Yeah. Cheryl, there's no cap for age for donating blood, right?
No.
As long as they're healthy and.
Yep. As long as you're healthy. Unfortunately, often it's the medications. Once we sort of reach a certain age, we start to get on some medication. Now, I want to stress to everyone, please check the medication, because I'm on medication and I can still donate. So it all depends on the type. People will make an assumption. A perfect example, I have a good friend. He is diabetic and he used to donate all the time. And we were having a chat the other day. He was just asking me how the job was going, and we were having a little chit chat. And he said, "Oh, I can't donate. I'm diabetic." And I said, "Well, why can't you?" And he says, "Well, you can't donate if you're diabetic." I said, "Oh, certainly you can. It just depends on the medications or the insulin dose, et cetera, that you might be on." Now he's back to donating because what he's on for his diabetes does not affect donations. So that one conversation allowed for a donor that used to donate to come back on when they had made a false assumption. So
important to have those conversations for
yes,
sure.
Very important.
And like you mentioned, if somebody has a specific question about their medication, they can call the number that was presented.
Yes.
and speak to a nurse to talk about the personal situation. So,
yeah, I work for Canadian Blood Services, and I still called 1-888-28 to donate to ask that question, because on blood.ca, it is not clear all and every medication. They could never discuss every single medication. So because mine's unique, I had to call in, and I was happily reassured that, oh yeah, you're fine. I'm like, yay.
And Cheryl, you mentioned that QR code for OPAC that you were going to create to do like an organizational donation goal. Is that for, because we're all over, we have families, you know, all over Ontario. That's not just for the Berry Clinic, or is it?
No. So yeah, so what I can do is, if you are all over Ontario and you generally don't get together very easily together, the best thing I can do is I'm going to check in the system to see if you've ever been created in the past, because maybe there was a CDM from a different territory that had spoke to someone in years past. So I'll just make sure that you're not in the system. If you are in the system, I can reactivate. If you're not in the system, I can create. And so then anybody across Ontario can go to any clinic, any place, and you can just work together to bond as an organization to raise donation numbers.
Great. Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions for Cheryl before we wrap it up tonight? Okay. I think you covered everything, Cheryl. So I will connect you with Fatima, and this is recorded. I'll put it up on our YouTube and social medias tomorrow, and hopefully spread the word about all these wonderful initiatives and programs from CBS.
Fantastic.
So yes, thank you so much, everybody, for attending tonight. Thank you, Cheryl, for a wonderful presentation. And yeah, have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Okay. Bye for now.